Wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are in Inmates to Entrepreneurs 8-week course. Tonight is week 3. We are going to be talking about customer acquisition. Just a couple of quick reminders before we get started. As always, if you can make sure your username is your actual name, that would be incredibly helpful for my team to track attendance. Also, if you happen to have any sort of Zoom issues while we're in class, unfortunately, we cannot troubleshoot. So the easiest way to kind of fix that is just completely leave the meeting and come back. We'll be watching the waiting room. I promise to let you back in as soon as we see you. And then the only other thing I have is, like I mentioned, this is being recorded. So tomorrow you will get a recap email with this class. I know in a couple of emails last week, some people got the wrong week 2 recording. So if that was you, that has been updated. So in the recap tomorrow, you'll have week 1, 2, and 3. They will be the correct version. So if you were affected by that, please do not worry, that's been fixed. Otherwise, we have both Bill Carlson and Nadav Mir back with us this evening. Bill and Nadav have taught in previous weeks, so you should know them. But Bill and Nadav, we do have a couple of new faces. So could you remind us who you are, tell us about your background in entrepreneurship, and then when you're ready for the PowerPoint, just let me
Oh, well, thank you, Nadav. Hey, it's nice to see you. It's been a while. I hope you're well. I love teaching with you. We'll have some fun tonight and share some amazing information. So, for those that don't know me, my name is Bill Carlson. I was an investment advisor for a little over 25 years, had my own practice for the last 10, 12 years, and was fantastic. Unfortunately, I got myself made some very bad decisions and got to live rent free, courtesy of the Department of Justice for 30 months. And so I've been with helping out at ITE now 3 or 4 years, Allie. It goes by quick, doesn't it? But I absolutely love this. And I already see some entrepreneurs here. There's a gentleman I saw driving a vehicle while he's taking the class. That's somebody that's driven to improve themselves. The folks up in the chapel, I mean, they could be doing 100 other things right now, but they're taking time, and all of you are, out of your schedule. So first week, we talked about what is an entrepreneur in Hollywood, and books paint an unrealistic and imaginary picture of what an entrepreneur is. It's what all of you are here, taking time out of your busy schedules to make yourself better. With that, I'll turn it over to my friend and co-instructor, Nadav.
Thanks so much, Bill. And hello, everybody. I see Ken McCoy on the line with us too. So shout out to Ken, who I got to teach with last week. Was a real joy. But Bill, me and you, yeah, we're holding it down. It's many years I've been teaching with Bill and I to E, and it's just a joy to work together. Bill really brings often a different perspective than what I bring, and that's a beautiful thing when we have different teachers, right? We should hear all those different perspectives. In entrepreneurship, there's no right or wrong necessarily. And gathering up that information for yourselves, that's what you guys got to do. And as Bill said, y'all are on that journey. You're here, you're making the effort, you're putting the work in, the time in, the love in to try to figure out if, how, right? Where am I going with this? So it's a joy to do that. And for you guys that weren't here the last time that I had the pleasure of teaching y'all, I was an entrepreneur for 15 years in IT and also in specialty coffee. I owned roasteries and coffee shops, and that was really my industry for a long time. About 4.5 years ago, I made the midlife career switch to teach in higher ed. So now I've been teaching the management department, Virginia Tech University, teaching undergraduate students, each of them paying about $100 for a 1 hour session, hour 15 minutes, to hear me talk at them in a room of between 50 to 100 to 150 in the room. And I love to tell them I volunteer with IDE, bring that same content to IDE, volunteer, right? And these guys get it for free. Same thing that you guys are paying $100 every time I roll in for. So, with that spirit, really love to roll in. Know we're going to have a great time today. Hopefully, we'll talk about a lot of stuff that is interesting, powerful, meaningful, worth listening to, right? None of us are here to waste your time in any way. We want to get to the meat of it. We want to help you. That's why we do this. So I'm just excited with that spirit to get us rolling. So, Bill, I know I was on last week. We had a bunch of great elevator pitches. We really were able to get into some of those pitches. So if you're ready, I'd love to invite some faces, familiar and new, to share some elevator pitches with us. What do you think, Bill?
And if I can, that's a great way to start. We'll have Ellie start the slides, please. And if you don't mind, if you want to jump in at any time, you never disappoint with what you add and bring to the discussion. So hopefully that's okay with both Ellie and Nadav. And if not, I'll get a nasty email from Ellie later on.
No nasty, no nasty. And I
Nasty,
think we can
no,
hold off on the slides, right? We can wait on the slides until
Nit-
we have a chance to do some pitches. If that sounds good for you, Bill.
Okay, that's a good idea. I like that. Okay.
So we invite you guys now, whoever wants to raise their hand, either within the Zoom, or send a chat and say, I'm ready. I'm ready to give my pitch.
And while we're waiting for volunteers, can you remind us what is in a good elevator pitch?
Mm.
Everybody got to hear my version. Bill, I'll put this on you. What's a good elevator pitch?
Well, as we touched on in that first week, it's called an elevator pitch because it's designed to be the length of riding in an elevator, 20 to 30 seconds. And what is the purpose of that elevator pitch? It's not to sell your product, because if you go over the 20 or 30 seconds, you're going to lose the person. So what you want to do is you want to let the person know who you are, what your business is called, why your solution is different. Well, if you can hear my dog, I apologize. Who your target customer is and where they're at and how they can reach you. So the purpose of that elevator pitch is purely to get the person you're talking to asking you questions, get them interested. That's the whole purpose of the elevator pitch. If you start talking and talking and talking, you've lost them. So that's what you want to get across in the 20 to 30 seconds. And as I'm sure you covered last week, Nadav, and I did the week before, you can't get up here and give an bad elevator pitch. It's impossible. You just learn and you get better. It's like, right, I was thinking about this the other night. It's like riding a bike. Remember when you first got on the bike? You fall, you scrape your knee, your elbow, right? It hurts. You get back on the bike and maybe you go a little longer. You fall, yeah, it hurts. But after a while, when you're riding that bike, you forget about all the falls. So this is the place to fall. Let us as a group help you get back on that bike, give you some ideas, and get you going faster. So who's the first to God, Richard Google Pixel. He's got some neat, whatever he's got going on there, man. That is pretty cool. Sorry, I'm easily distracted.
I
Look
see
at that
Carl,
stuff.
who's
What?
driving, is waving his hand.
Look at that.
That
Love
that
that,
feels like a
Carl.
lot of chewing gum and playing with toys at the same time. Drive carefully, but if you're volunteering, we'll invite you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello, my name is Carl Gross. I'm with Hemp Power Farms. We produce hemp power or hemp protein, which is a clean fuel source for the body. It is allergen free, has every amino acid you can think of, and all omega acids. And we want to bring a new market to the protein line, plant-based protein.
Bill,
Okay, how do we get a hold of you, Carl?
Oh, I'm so
How-
sorry. I'm so,
No,
our
it's all right,
website
brother.
is hemppowerfarms.com, or you can reach me personally on my cell. I do have some business cards if you'd like a business card.
Yeah. So it's hemppowerfarms.com.
Yeah,
I-
I have the website up and running right now. I just don't have it. I don't have anything on there. It's with my busy schedule. It's hard, man.
No, yeah, you're right. And if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right, Carl?
Correct, correct.
I liked it for a couple things. One is Hemp Power Farms. That's got me thinking, what the hell is that about? Then you
Right.
went into it and you talked about all the benefits of it, the health benefits. It was short. I would start asking you questions
Right. Yeah.
right away.
Hemp Power Farms is actually the hemp power is HEMPWR. So it's kind of a play on words a little bit, but it's farms is spelled regularly. But yeah, man, I've researched this a lot, and there's a lot of grants and stuff available for new agricultural farmers in Tennessee, where I'm located. They've got the 2018 Farm Bill for hemp. A lot of people think hemp as they automatically think, oh, it's marijuana or something like that. With the seeds, we're just producing for seeds, and my plan is to sell the biomass for like fiber, paper, and ropes and stuff like that. So it's a kind of a double industry. I feel really good about it, man. The
I
hardest
can hear
part
the
is getting,
excitement.
yeah, is the hard part is getting started, and with my busy schedule is finding the time to be able to sit down and work on it.
Yep, that will always be a challenge as you're keeping your day hustle. Nadav, anything to add?
I think
I
it's
love that
great.
though, Carl.
Thanks for sharing it, Carl. Yeah, it's fantastic to hear about. I think the only little twist or little thing you could think about adding to your elevator pitch is what makes you different. We're the ones with the purple packaging. We're the ones that are next to the creatine on the shelf at the supermarket. I just think about what makes you pop in that way. And I would just love, from a marketing angle, I think that's great. Otherwise, you nailed it. It's fantastic.
Thanks,
Before
man.
I ask Ken to give us his opinion, which I'd love to hear, I would just want to add for everybody else on the call that's like agriculture, like, well, how is this a good product or service? I got to tell you guys, I taught at Texas A&M in the agricultural economics department. There's a lot of opportunity in ag. And when Carl says there are grants, there is money available,
Yeah.
it's no joke, and think about our country. Where do we want to put our money? There's few industries that are like it's agriculture and defense. These are the two industries that aren't going anywhere. Our government is going to subsidize those industries because we want to keep some of that here. So there's money to be had to support businesses involved in those fields. So it's super cool to hear about.
Yeah, so on that, if you don't mind me adding, I've done the research on that, and per acre of hemp just sold as biomass here in Tennessee sells for around 35,000 an acre. So if you got a 20-acre farm, man, you're doing good.
Exciting stuff. I love to hear about it. All right, Ken, please unmute. Tell us what you think. I think you're still muted, young man.
Ken does not have an IT firm. Just throwing that out there.
He does well.
There you go. There you go.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I'm Ken McCoy out of Jacksonville, Florida. I'm with Operation New Hope. So glad to be here each and every week. Glad everyone's here on the line tonight. Carl, what I was going to say the unique thing like you, Nadav, but also do you have any challenges that you're running into, not just with like marketing and startup, but like what would be a person's need for your business and what challenge would they have, a problem for you to solve?
You broke up a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm driving. I heard challenges was the last thing I heard.
Yeah. Just basically like what challenges are you having? Are you having challenges with getting the word out, or are you online with any social media, or how are you using today's marketing tools online, or are you there in that aspect yet?
I'm not there in that aspect yet. I use ChatGPT a lot. The other guy was saying I have the paid version, so it really helps me out, load pictures, get my labeling and everything. I have product ideas. My biggest challenge that I'm facing right now would be to get the LLC. In my state, it's $300 to get the LLC business license, and then to move forward from there, I'd have to have another business license. But right now, it's just the thing I'm facing the most of is, like I said, time, man. I work from 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. By the time I get home, I'm so beat, man. I don't want to do nothing, and that's my biggest challenge right now is sitting down time to be able to do it. Like on my days off, I always find I've got a bunch of stuff to do around the house. I feel like I'm making excuses, but I'm being productive in my life. I'm just not being productive in my entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think we all face that as entrepreneurs, especially when you're a solopreneur starting up, especially with a unique idea. So I commend you on having a unique spin and finding the research and doing that upfront in your startup. and everyone else on the line, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So how we manage it, how we work our day jobs, if we have those, how we come home and get a second win, how we take breaks, if you have family life, all those things are not going to change. They're actually going to get worse when you decide to take on a business of your own and fuel that passion. So I commend you on that, everything. And I just wanted to hit on that uniqueness to add that spin, that intriguing spin from a customer. Just like Bill was saying in the beginning, he wanted to start to ask you questions, not just from the name, but what problem would you solve, and find out who has the problem that you need to solve that you don't know yet. But everything else is home run, man. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, man. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing I can solve problem-wise with my product is, like, my son's allergic to peanuts. There's a lot of people allergic to gluten. They're allergic to whey, wheat, nuts, and everything else. And with my product, it's completely allergen-free.
There you go. That's it right there. And then market to kids and moms and stuff, busy moms. You're a busy person. You market to people who have that same pain point in terms of busyness, who may want an alternate method of not having any allergies for their kids or themselves, and then find a catchy catchphrase to appeal to them and build that into your week-to-week improvement. But other than that, man, keep up the great work.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. And just a last point, Carl. I know we're not talking about business structure today. For a lot of folks, this is a hurdle, right? Where it's like, I got to get the LLC. I can't do anything until I get this LLC. And I want to tell you, that's not how it really works in the real world. You don't have to wait. You can just start selling stuff as a sole proprietor, recklessly try to do it as much as you can. Don't let that legal stuff get in the way. Once you figure out that you have a proven market, you're able to sell a little bit of it, that it's the ramp's got to start somewhere. So I just encourage you in that direction. But thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us. I love all the hands. Hands.
Look at that.
Tony
That's
Garavito.
awesome.
We got Melissa. We got Dennis. So I don't know if we'll have time to do all these, but I know we got time for at least one more. And Tony's been waiting the longest. So we'll invite Tony to unmute and drop his elevator pitch for us.
And what we'll try to do at the end is, sorry, Tony, we'll try to save some time to get those that had their hand up now if we didn't get to you. I apologize for interrupting you, Tony. Go ahead. The floor is yours, buddy.
No worries. Thank you. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Wonderful. Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Garavito with Blue Oasis Pool Service. I'm serving the greater Las Vegas area. Focus is on reliable, affordable pool care. In this Vegas heat, pools need consistent attention. Many homeowners may not have the time or want, to clean their pools. Want the hassle. I handle weekly cleaning, chemical balancing, equipment checks, minor repairs, so your pool stays crystal clear and swim ready year round. No long contracts, no upsells, just honest service and dependable results. Here's my information to contact me. So when can we schedule your service? That's it.
Nadav, you want to go first, and then I'll jump
I
in?
will if you want me to. Tony, you nailed it. Fantastic job. It was
Thank you.
great. So, couple layers here. I think if anything, you overfilled the cup a little too much. We had
Gotcha.
one or two sentences, maybe more than we needed to.
Okay.
Otherwise, we got it. I understand exactly what you're doing. It's fantastic. By the way, I love this market. I love this kind of idea. Any service business, right? Where Tony can show up and he knows how to clean a pool. He understands something about the business. These are money printing businesses, right? You're not trying to sell a product. You're selling a service. I just love the business idea. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Only other thing to think about adding, like we told Carl, a little bit like, what is the special thing, right? What makes you different? And it could be
Affordable. I said it. Affordable.
But a lot of your competitors also say affordable. It
They
doesn't
say-
have to be something money related. It could be like, we're the
Okay.
guys with the tie-dye t-shirts.
Gotcha.
We're the guys that come in,
Okay.
right? It's something else that makes you pop. And when people try to look you up on the socials, they're like, there's Tony. I got
got
him.
you. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Otherwise, fantastic. Go get him. I'm inspired. Bill, what do you got?
Yeah, I echo your comments. It was solid. One of the things I was thinking of, why do people hire somebody, a pool service, or why do they change? Well, they hire somebody because they don't want to do it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Or why do they change? Because they're unhappy with their current service. So if somehow in your 20 to 30 seconds, squeeze in, so we've talked about solutions. If you don't provide a solution, Tony, for somebody, you could be the hottest guy in the world, and maybe some women would hire you, but most people won't if you can't you can't provide a solution, right? So the solution is people don't want to do it themselves, right? So we take care of everything, full service. And you mentioned it, boom, boom, boom. And then I would imagine you don't want to miss out on the people that have a service that are unhappy.
Right.
You can even put in there, a lot of our new customers come from people, they had existing services and they found that the service wasn't up to their expectation.
Okay.
Because that's probably I would imagine there's more people in Las Vegas that have a service than don't.
Absolutely.
So what you want to try to do is appeal to those people that are unhappy. And then
Okay.
where we're going to talk about today, you're going to find out what their pain point is.
I do. I know it already.
Yeah.
160 to 200.
Okay.
It's went up like $50, throughout the years. So that's where I want to
month.
come in a little under at 150.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done and I don't want to diverge too much from this, but have you done the math on that? If you charge 150, if you can make money on doing that?
Yeah, definitely I have. And it would bring in some money, if I get a solid route going,
Okay.
every day, servicing a few pools, it'll definitely generate, some good income.
Okay. All right. I'll turn it over to Ken. Good job. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, I like that idea because you're thinking in terms of what somebody outside your business would think is a saturated business. And you're thinking about entry and that unique point of attack. You want to jump in with your skills and expertise. Did you say anything about your skills and experience in the pitch at all, years wise?
No, I
Um,
didn't. I could add
because
that.
then it make because if I'm thinking oh well he's cheaper
Right,
then
right.
my second antenna is this man probably not quality, man. He probably don't have no
It's his first
experience,
day.
man. Right. He don't know what he doing, man. So splash that in there, and that's gonna add that extra flavor, man. Everything else, I love it, Tony. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And just to echo on some of that, because Ken, it's such a good point. A lot of times, this is so common for new entrepreneurs. We underprice. We feel like I'm not quite ready. I'm not 100% confident. Let me try to get some customers by coming in low. And I got to tell you guys, cross that right out. That is not a good strategy. You should come in where your competitors are, exactly at the same place, right? The features and benefits that you're going to bring should match your competitors. You want to get price out of the equation as much as you can. And you do that by matching the market. And like for you, Tony, it might be like, how far away are they? You might have pricing based on that. But right away, when you bring a lower price, you aren't even necessarily getting the customers you want, right? Then you're getting the ones that maybe are the biggest pain. You want to get the customers that, they know what to expect. And like Ken said, it's a little shady. You're like coming in low. They're like, why? If you're so good, why are you coming in low?
Right.
So just to make
Gotcha.
that point.
Thank you.
Fantastic. You guys, elevator pitches. I'm impressed. You got a good group. And yeah, Melissa, Dennis, hopefully we'll have time to get you guys going at the end. I love that suggestion. If we got time at the end, if not, we got to invite you back. So, you guys got to lead it off on the next class. Raise your hand and be like, I've been waiting since last time. This is where it's got to be. So, Bill, if you're feeling ready, we can jump into slide decks.
Do it.
All right.
Yep, the best course money can't buy. Week 3, customer acquisition. If you don't get this right, the rest of it's going to be very difficult. So, talking to customers when you get started, yes, it can feel very intimidating, especially if you try to ask for your first check. So don't ever ask for that check. We're going to cover how you can get to that point in a little bit. You're going to talk about your product or service instead. And more importantly, you want to do what we're going to recommend you do here in the upcoming weeks or months is start doing interviews with potential clients or customers. So what you want to do is, we talked about this, the best businesses solve problems. If you're not solving a problem, and going back to what Nadav just said with Tony's, some people, when I was in the investment business, it was almost a unwritten rule, or it was an unwritten rule. The smallest clients, and I don't mean by stature, I mean by portfolio size, tended to be the biggest pains. And there was a lot of reasons behind that. It was the larger relationships that tended, if you service them, stayed with you a long time. So if you're going for the lowest end, the discount shoppers, you're going to be in a market that's going to consistently challenge you. But if you're going in and solving problems, you're going to find long-term, reliable customers. Ask real people what they need. You know, Tony, what you may want to do is just start doing some market research. Do you have somebody cleaning your pool? Yes. How long have you had them? Are you happy with their service? If there was something, this is one of the questions I used to ask when I was interviewing a potential investment client. If there was something you could change about the current relationship, you had a magic wand, what would it be? And guess what they're going to do? They're going to tell you where their pain point is or what they're unhappy with is. Yeah, my guy comes over, but you know what? He's gotten really sloppy lately, and they're not going to mention price most of the time. They're going to tell you where their pain point is. So you can guess what problems you're going to solve. You're welcome, Tony. And here, I mentioned this on the first week. Here's one of the benefits of sticking your neck out and giving your elevator pitch. One, it's not gonna send you back to prison. And remember I told you, that's one of the things I always think about when my day is going really bad. I'm like, shit, whatever happens, I'm not going back, right? Number two is, we tend to use the elevator pitches that we hear today as examples during our talk. People that look for people like your future customers. Again, Carl, you mentioned some people, family members that have health issues. When my daughter has celiac, and when she was younger, we tended to find other families that had those issues. So maybe in your situation, you can find other families that have those health issues for their children or themselves or family members, and ask them what they would think about your hemp products. Get them taught, learn from them. Because it's all about finding out instead of guessing, what is that product, or what am I going to solve? And if you're not solving problems, you're going to have a very difficult time. Nadav, Ken?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Thanks, Bill. You nailed it. The only thing I would add to this, I can't overemphasize to you all how important the interviews are. I'm teaching a whole class right now at the college level, a whole entrepreneurship class, where the big project is interviews. It's all about interviews. So it's really listening and trying to understand your customer. So I just can't emphasize to you guys enough how important this is. And yeah, it's true for Carl. I think I was thinking about Carl in this way too. Before you invest time thinking about your hemp product, about how it should be, really figure out maybe there's some other form factor or other retail location or some other way, and your customers are going to tell you. Your potential customers that you interview are going to tell you, and you really got to listen to them before you invest any money, right? They're going to be the ones to lead it. Ken, what do you got?
Yeah, man, I love it, because you're talking about, being like a private investigator. You're listening for the pain point, but you're building this inquisitive thought. You want to hear them out, because you're listening to the residue of the person that wasn't doing a good job before you came, and you are going to have to listen them out. One of the good things I like about asking the right questions is that you can hear their personality and how they answer. If it's a short-ended question, hey man, money is no object, I just want it done right. Short and sweet. Okay, you hear it down, write it down. If it's a lady sharing a story over and over, and she's talking about how bad the thing was and how much time she lost, you hear that, and it's an actual person. You can serve both of those lanes. So I think in communicating, understanding, to hear the person's problem first, as an entrepreneur, one of our greatest inquiries, just like you were saying, Nadav, is to teach the interviewing style. Be inquisitive, be understanding that the person has a pain point that you're there to solve with your product or your service, but allow them to get that pain out. And don't restrict how they get it out to. It might be vulgarities and, man, I don't like this crappy job and blah, blah, blah. You just got to sit there and listen to them, you know, and just for that, for the group, everybody make sure you have that listening ear. 2 ears are more than that 1 mouth.
Great points.
Yeah, if I could add here quickly, and then we'll hit the next slide, please, Ellie. Don't hesitate to write your questions down on a sheet of paper beforehand. It actually shows the person you're interviewing that you've put some thought into this. And guess what it also does is it makes sure you don't forget to ask questions. Up until the very end, if I was meeting with a new potential client, and my minimum size that I took for my investors was $1 million. So, you know, and that's when $1 million was a lot of money. Okay. But I had questions written down because you get talking and this and that. And then I'd get out and go, dang it, I forgot to ask those questions. When you have it written down, a lot of times the person's going to think, man, he or she really cares because they took the time, and then ask them, do you mind if I take some notes? I mean, in the 25 years in the business, I never had one person ever say, no, I don't want you to. So
great points.
All right.
I love it.
We can,
let me jump on this one here. So I think before I kind of talk into this for you guys on this topic of interviews, this is something that you can follow up on and work on long after this course is done. You guys can become experts at interviewing potential people. There's a giant rabbit hole here. So I encourage you guys, a lot of websites, ChatGPT, whatever it is. So think of this as a very wide open thing. We're only giving you tiny bit, a little bit of a place to start here. You guys can take this a lot further than where we're going. So you can write that in your notes here. So as we're interviewing, you can ask people, and again, we got to find the right people. That's another part of this. What pisses you off, right? What is the pain point, right? What frustrates you? This has got to be the main question. We're going to ask it a bunch of different ways, right? But that's what we're trying to get to. Tell me your pain. And have you tried to solve it? And some of the time it's unsolvable, right? Like, I have no way to solve this pain point. It's tough. And then the perfect solution. What is the ideal way that this problem just magically disappears? And for some people, right, we're just imagining this fiction, but still, it's important to think about it that way. What makes you choose one provider, one competitor, right? You can pencil that in too. What makes you choose your competitor over me, right? Or one competitor over another? And sometimes here you can also ask kind of a ranked list thing. What are the most important kind of features or benefits that you would want to have, and how would you rank them? Is another question you could ask to follow that up. And then what would you expect to pay? So with pay, like we talked about in pricing, you really got to look at your competition. This is the magic sauce of small business. Your competitors will tell you almost exactly what to charge. Expecting to pay, right? Sometimes there's a gap between the value that they see. It's actually worth $300 if Tony comes to clean the pool, but they know they pay around, like Tony said, between $150 to $200. But it's really worth it to them more. Is Tony then ever going to get 300 right now? Probably not. But it's just one example. There can be a gap between the value and what the market says. So you can't pitch here. This is a really important point. Don't try to close the sale. We're just interviewing potential customers. Y'all can do this even before you have a product or service, before you've started up. Maybe you start working on one business idea, right? Maybe Tony's thinking about pools. Maybe he starts changing. He thinks about a different business idea. He's still going to go and interview a new group of people, right? So entrepreneurs, we do this all the time. Think of this as an exercise you're going to do over and over again. When you ask, don't sell, right? The product or service might not exist. You're just gathering information. We're just listening. We just want to be curious about where you're at. And then you're going to adjust your pitch. You're going to figure out what people actually care about. When you hear about these pain points, you will adjust as you go, right? That's part of the learning that you're going to do. And yeah, the pricing point is important. And these testimonials, if you can have somebody agree, can I use your testimonial? Can I use a little video clip of this in my marketing? This is kind of a next level thing, but if they give you permission, that is magic. Magic if you get those testimonials. So, Bill, what am I missing?
I can't find anything you're missing. I just have a few things to add. If you get good at these interviews, I don't want to guarantee you, but I would be willing to bet on you being a great salesperson and your business succeeding, unless, of course, you don't handle the finances, because the best salespeople I've ever run across in my life ask questions. Think about when you go to the doctor. What does the doctor do? They start asking you questions. These first 5 questions are what we refer to in the industry as open-ended questions. Questions that you can't be answered with yes and no. You want to avoid in your interviews and almost at any time during a sales presentation to avoid a closed-end question. Closed-end is yes or no. Open-end is you get the person talking. So, you've got ChatG, you've got Gemini today, you've got a whole list of tools out there. So if it's for Carl's hemp farms or Tony's pool service, go in there, give it what you're thinking on doing, and say, create 10 or 15 open-ended questions for an interview for me. And that, you may have to massage it a bit. That's about all I have to take on this is just to add to what Nadav shared. And then if the mighty Ken has something to add, please do.
Hey man, I love it. I like the part on learning at the bottom with the technology now. Us with these few gray hairs, we have to have this distilled wisdom. It makes it equal for us. We have to take the tools and ask the questions ourselves. And now we don't have to have a Encyclopedia Britannica. Our library doesn't close at 9 o'clock and we got to wait till tomorrow. We don't have to go to the Dewey Decimal System and pull out the catalog and go upstairs and somebody and rip out the paper, because you got to be a procrastinator and you're going to make a D on the test tomorrow. And then you got to go to B. Dalton and get the Cliff Notes and hope to read those 65 pages so that you can hope to get a B tomorrow. Now I could look at 2 o'clock in the morning, I could throw my stuff in the chat and I can get a business plan. I can get all this stuff that we're getting for free, good knowledge. So I encourage everybody to soak this up. One of the things I like about learning new technology, and your field is going to teach you new terminology you don't know yet. And sometimes your customer will do that too. They'll use a term that you don't know yet in your field or your experience, and it'll be something that you may or may not be familiar with. Keep that research antenna on. So nothing to add, just always want to keep everybody's antennas in research mode and learning their technology in today's media.
That's great stuff. Bridget asked, how do I interview without exposing that I'm not ready to serve? You're collecting market information, right?
Sometimes it's even easier when you don't have anything.
Yeah.
You say, I'm interested in starting this business. I'm researching it. And then
Question
right.
there.
Bill, you want to take this slide?
Oh, sure. I'd love to. This one reminds me, it says, write down 3 names. And I shared this with you guys in our first meeting when I got in the investment business. We had an old saying. It was, you sell your family, you sell your friends, and then you sell your furniture. So when you got in the business, you wrote down 10 names or 15 names of family members, and that's who you started pitching to. Anyway, write down 3 names. Now, again, we're going to use, if it's Tony, write down the names of 3 people with pools that you know are getting serviced or have a good idea. And if you ask somebody and they have a pool and it's not getting serviced, ask them if they have somebody you can talk to. You're doing some market research, okay? Who will you talk to? Don't there's never going to be the perfect time to do this, right? It's for those of you that have children. There's never the perfect time to have children. You're never going to have enough money. You're never going to have enough time. And if our parents waited for that, none of us would be here right now. And what do you want to learn? Use the tools that Ken mentioned, right? You got your questions. What is it that's important to you to learn? If you're having this business idea, is the market solely on, is it solely on price? Is it on service? And if it's on price, then you have to deal with that. If it's on service and quality of service, then that's maybe the angle you'd want to come at. And I'm not saying if it's purely price, you don't have an opportunity, because there are people that can do a really good business being the low cost provider, just have some different challenges we'd have to talk about. And how are you going to follow up? Now, again, if you don't have a product ready right now or a service, you thank them for their time, maybe a $10 gift card to a local coffee shop or something, just as a sign of your appreciation. But if you've got a service, ask them if you mind if you follow up with them, especially if they shared with you they shared pain points with you. And if you don't follow up, again, that's really not, as I don't feel, and Nadav and Ken can share their thoughts on this, but you're really there to learn. And if you don't follow up and they're not, that's okay. You really want to learn where people's pain points are. And I would actually say a lot more than 3 people, but that's this week.
Yeah.
Get going on it. And hopefully next week, I don't know who's teaching, Ellie, but it'd be great to hear some stories on interviews. So
It's great, Bill. Fantastic. Yeah, and I think a couple other little things to add. I think about who you should interview, right? And for some people, it's like, oh, my neighbor, oh, this person, right? You'll come up with a list in your brain. And I think a rule of thumb to think about would be just maybe expanding your circle one step further, right? So if it's, let's say, your parent or grandparent, their neighbor, right? And you know of them, you've
Yeah.
met them, right? So you got to think about some folks that are like close to your circle, but maybe not that direct to your circle. It's one way to think about it. Another thing we got to think about, and I think about Tony, I got to interview people with pools. I got to find people with pools to interview. Can't just be any old person, right? I got to find the right potential person that knows something about this, right? Just like if you have a landscaping business, you don't want to talk to people who are renting and don't have to mow their lawn. You don't want to talk to people that have an apartment and don't have a lawn. So you got to think about that a little bit too as you do this, because nothing is worse than trying to line up the interview and they're like, I don't have a pool. There's no point. Ken, what else do you got to add?
Yeah, I like that because you got referrals and tied into people that you know or semi know. It's like, man, I don't have a pool, but I know my aunt does. You may want to call her. So sometimes, when you're looking outside of that initial range of reference, you'll bump into people that you don't know yet, and they may have a quality or standard that they need for you to solve that problem. So I try this little thing. I do it to this day. I send out 10, hey, how you doing networking things, Tony, to like LinkedIn. And it's 10 random people that's in the idea that I want to do that day. Sometimes it's fashion, sometimes it's photography, sometimes it's something else. But in those 10 ideas, I play the 90-10 rule. I'm going to lose 80 to 90% of anybody hitting me back, but 1 or 2 people will. And because we don't know each other, they're inquisitive about what could I have to offer. So if I'm offering a fashion service, cool. If I'm offering photography, cool. But there's a lot of neutralness out there in today's digital domain. So the personability, the one-on-one you find with meeting people, that's good too. But don't forget that digital side. So these are great 3 little nuggets. Who will you want to talk to this week? What do you want to learn, and how will you follow up? I remember last week, Mr. Bill, we had a gentleman that was had some stuff with auto paint, and he was out in a rural area, and he was trying to
Yeah, I
get that
remember that.
idea off the ground. So it's like these slides show such a standard idea, but not a one size fits all for everybody's business. So you're wanting to learn that new technology, those new ways of marketing yourself, especially digitally. And you're going to hear this from me so hungrily because I feel like I'm playing catch up. It's like, man, it's like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Oh, yeah, I could do this. Yeah. So I'm kind of like the Hungry Hungry Hippo back in the day, that old school game, if y'all remember that. They're like,
Yeah.
they drop all the marbles out there, Mr. Bill, and you're just trying to grab all of them. So do that with meeting people. Go out, and you don't even have to meet an actual person, but send out 10 "Hey, how you doing" to somebody in that field every day, and you'll be amazed that somebody will hit you back and be inspired just based on wanting to know what you're doing.
Yeah, if you get a 10 or 20% hit ratio, that's amazing.
Right?
And it's free, right? Is it on LinkedIn what you're doing? Is free?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think back to my 200 cold calls a day when I got in the business, you were hoping to get 5 people that were willing. Yeah, that's, I was 10 hours of calling, and hope you get 5 people that were willing to listen to your story or your next idea. So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And this is great, Allie. I think we're ready for the next slide. All right, so we talked a little bit about this, about pricing, and you guys heard my spiel that I think your competitors are going to always tell you. They're going to break it down for you, and that's probably the best place to start is your competitors. All right, but let's start with the process. We got to be repeatable with our process here. So we got to build consistency and confidence in your operations. So this is, a little bit, it's true operationally, right? So every time Tony shows up to clean a pool, do his service, maybe he has a checklist, right? Maybe he's looking for problems that he can charge extra to fix, right? Or other things, but there's going to be a process every time he rolls in. And it's going to be the same process, so he's very consistent with what he's doing. So for a lot of products, it's 2x your cost, meaning I buy a widget from Bill, costs Bill $100, he sells it to me for $200. When you go to retail stores, this is a pretty typical margin. We also call this 100% margin. So for services, it could be 2 times your supplies plus your labor. So you're going to charge that markup, that doubling of your cost on whatever you need plus your labor cost. Services make bank, guys. We've talked about this before. Services 70% of our economy. It's never enough. It's also repeatable. They want you to come every week, every 2 weeks, right? It's magic. There's a lot of magic there. And again, research the competition. They're going to tell you exactly how to structure it, and kind of let you understand what customers in your market expect. These are big hidden costs here that are pain points, the drive time. So if Tony has a route for cleaning these pools, he's got, you don't want to have to drive. Vegas is big, right? These big cities can spend hours in traffic trying to get from place to place. So how you plan the route, how long it takes to get to customers that are outside the area, that's a huge, huge pain point potentially. So having that range of service could be really important. Marketing costs, this is a big one, guys. Put a big asterisk here. Ideally, your number should be 0 or as close to 0 as you can make it. You want to spend as little as possible to get your customers. You want to figure out how to do this for as cheap or free as you can, because this is a hidden cost. The more money you're spending on Facebook ads or Google ads, it's unclear how your customers are getting to you or if that's even working and you're still spending on it. Don't fall in that trap. Another thing is overhead. A lot of folks are like, oh, business up and running, buying the truck, business up and running, I'm renting the office, right? Very quickly, that overhead kills you. So my take on overhead for you guys, if you can avoid spending money on anything other than what you need as a bare necessity to provide your product or service, avoid spending money on that. Why? Instead of spending the money on overhead, let that become profit that goes into your pocket. This is the difference between these, right? Marketing costs and overhead. If you're spending money, that's just your profit that you're choosing to spend. Otherwise, that's money you get to keep. So you want to sell out on value, not on price. Like we talked about earlier, you don't want to be the cheapest. Not helpful for you. And people buy a solution. And at the end of the day, people buy how you make them feel. They're buying you, right? Like when they get Tony, we got a little bit of Tony right on this call. I can imagine if you like Tony's vibe, I want Tony, right? And like Tony kind of becomes irreplaceable as the pool guy. And maybe you meet the other competing pool guys and you're like, maybe okay, maybe not. Not Tony though. Tony's got it together, right? Tony, instills me with confidence, makes me know that he's got this. And I just get a good vibe from Tony. So, people buy you. I always had this feeling in my coffee days too, right? That it was the coffee. Some people liked it, some didn't, but they loved the vibe of getting to come and visit and hang out with me. That was almost as important, right? Or coming out with my staff. So customers will tell you what they want. Sometimes they tell you with words. More often they tell you by what they choose to buy or not. So we can look at what are customers actually buying versus what they tell us they want. There's often a gap there, and we got to figure that out. And yeah, we want it experiential, right? If every time someone pays their bill, we have, little fireworks going off, right? A little pull string, right? Whatever the experience is, then we can imagine all the different ways this can look. You become special, different, and irreplaceable, right? And this differentiation strategy, being different, special, therefore irreplaceable, unless your competitors are rolling up with those little poppers every time, right? They're not going to scratch that same itch that you do when you bring that party, whatever that special thing is. So it's real easy to roll in and be like, here's your thing, ma'am. Thank you. Bye. Right? Or to make it more of a party, an event, right? An experience sometimes costs us literally no money, but your customers will love you for it. It's an extra thing that you can bring them. That's a feeling thing. So these value-based feelings, the comfort of a clean home, the magic when you come home and your house has been clean, it's amazing, right? It's amazing. So if you can really focus on that feeling and the specialness of it, and just same thing with landscaping. You roll back from work and you see your house is looking straight. It's looking legit. It's looking beautiful. You know, sometimes you can text your customer a picture, be like, I just left, looking good. Thank you for your business, right? Those types of things are magic. So, and then you got to practice until it feels natural. So once we do this one time, as we set these processes in motion and we're doing everything, it's all about repeatability, right? We want to repeat, keep doing this, sell more products, have a roster of customers that are always buying services from us on the regular basis. It should be almost boring because we're doing it all the time. That's the kind of the next step. So once you start rolling, it feels weird, right? When we start, it's a new thing, feels a little like starting up the car, going over the bumps. Once you get rolling, it should feel real natural. And then it's almost like it's boring. Just roll it all the time. It's always the same. May you get to that point real quick. Bill, fill me in. What am I missing?
Man, that was amazing. I hope that you're recording this, Ellie, so I can learn some. I've just learned a few things. Couple points. That was fantastic, Nadav. Love your energy at what is it, 7 o'clock your time, East Coast? You've been going all day. That's pretty cool. So, point on marketing, on overhead. Overhead and rent never sleep. So your business is only open so many hours a day, so many days a week. You have overhead and you have rent. And so we see too often, one of the mistakes I made early on when I had my investment practice, I thought I needed to have an office, that working out of the house wouldn't have been would have given the wrong message. So rented some space at one of these shared offices. It was very nice, but it drove up a cost that I don't believe anyone ever hired me because of my office. They hired me for what Nadav just said. They hired me because they felt comfortable with me. They trusted me. Uh, how you get your marketing costs to zero is through word of mouth and referrals. And we'll touch upon that in the upcoming weeks. That you want to talk about the magic sauce and selling and building a business. It's referrals and word of mouth, because they close at a exponential higher rate than traditional marketing. We just talked about, there was nothing about price. Now, everybody is an adult on this call. Think about what you buy on price only and the things you go to that the price doesn't matter as much, but it's the experience, right? I could go get the cheapest haircut around, but I don't. I go to sorry, Nadav, that wasn't a dig, I promise. But I go to a guy I really like going there. Does he do the best job? He does a good job, but I like going there. And he's raised his prices, or the shop has over the last couple of years, but I like going there. They play cool music, and so it's the experience. So you think about Tony, somebody walks out, I loved your idea, Nadav, when you get done at lawn, or if you get done cleaning the pool, take a picture of that crystal, that sparkling pool, send it to your customer, and say, hey, just left, it's looking awesome. Hey, do you mind if I put this on my webpage? Because you have a beautiful looking pool. You're not going to put their address on. Few people are going to say, my mom's old pool guy used to do that. Yeah, see? Now, so if somebody came along willing to charge $50 a month, do you think your mom would have left the old pool guy, Tony? I don't know your mom, but I'm going to say no, right? So again, if price, the lowest price providers, the market you're going to be in, I'm not here to discourage that, but that's a whole different conversation that you're going after. And people do make very good livings doing that. But if you start to sell an experience, then pricing doesn't, price is a one-time thing. Value and services throughout the relationship. Ken? Mr.
Yes, sir. I love that. I love that because it's throughout the relationship. I'm going into my 5th year in business for fashion and doing Facebook Lives and selling to a non-traditional crowd. 80 to 90% of my customers are women that are 40 and up. And I had to learn a whole new language, to learn that appreciation for that customer. And if I didn't give a hoot about it, my attitude wouldn't have changed, my sales wouldn't have changed, none of that, not even my foresight. So I remember in the first years when I wasn't as professional, I wasn't as engaging, I was talking more and listening less. And when you're doing a Facebook Live, all you can read is comments. You can't hear their angst. You can just read it and kind of interpret it. So for those who have service-based business and you're in person, you're going to have to learn communication skills, body language, and a lot of different things that your customer may not tell you verbally, but hear them out. What I like about this screen, your guidelines to the left, know your product costs, because marketing could kill you paying for things, and get that word of mouth out. Use some of these digital assets that are at your disposal now, and most of them are free. And researching the competition does you greater good than because it helps you understand where your market is and how the growth in that helps you enhance the value that you offer in your business. So I just wanted to just add to that. And then that value base, I noticed the difference, even if it on a show that I don't do a certain time, my personality might change, and I don't know why. It just feels different. You look better, you feel better, you perform better. So, get that in your comfort zone as you're out and meeting people online and offline.
If I can make one point here following up, Ken, you mentioned about technology, and this is for the younger audience members, which is most of you younger than me. The huge drawback with electronic communication is that it removes the tone of voice and emotion. So let's say Nadav and I lived in the same town, and he sends me a text, hey, Bill, you want to get out and watch a football game, or you want to get out? And I'm like excited. I say, sure. Right. And he reads it like, sure, like crap, Bill's got nothing else going on. So he said, sure. So when you start communicating with clients, the quick setting appointments and so on is okay. But when it gets to important items, you want to hear their voice, because if they're unhappy about something, you want to hear that pain. So we can hit it, Allie. Networking. Boy, you want to talk about making people nervous? This is really, if this is out of your comfort zone, then I would suggest you start jumping right into it, because again, you're not going to die. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to do anything else terrible like that. Now, each of you and whatever your service is or what your product is, you're going to have areas of your own networking. I actually thought of one. I looked ahead at the slide. So something you could offer, Tony, and again, maybe when a realtor has a house up for sale, maybe you go in and you offer to clean the pool for free as long as you can put your card on the counter. Because when last time I went out and shopped, oh, good, Tyrone, that's your greatest drink. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. But there will be ways to do your networking that's relevant to your whatever your product or service is. And what you want to do is you're not really there to sell people. You're there to find somebody that can be a good connection point, and maybe you can be a good connection point for them. Back in my investment practice, I didn't get call-ins, off the street. I only took clients from referrals, and my referrals came from two places: existing customers or existing clients and accountants. I made an effort over the years to network with accountants because one of the biggest problems they had for their clients were their clients had a bad advisor, and they'd go to for some reason, the accountant say, "Can you help me?" And the accountant didn't do investments, but they'd say, here's a guy I know and I trust. Or they would give my name and two others so they didn't pigeonhole themselves. But the point is, you get a referral like that, it's so much stronger, but it would take a while to get to know that accountant. So what you want to do when you go to a networking event or some sort of event where there's people that could be referral sources, you just want to get to know them. Think back to the questionnaire, right? The interview. So, hey, let's get the coffee. Let me learn about what you do and share with you what I'm doing. All right, you sit down, you buy them a coffee, you learn. Guess what, Melissa? A lot of us are introverts, but when you get out there, it's amazing what can happen. So I know it's going to be difficult, and you just put on extra deodorant that day and just go at it. You'll find out it's going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to get out of there, and you're still going to be alive, and you're still going to have your health. And share your story, but almost as important, ask them first about theirs. This isn't really a time to pitch. You get to know them. Allie, we've thrown this book up on the past. It's the greatest book I've ever read on selling. It's maybe 100 years old, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Andrew or Dale Carnegie. And what's the most important thing to any of us on this phone call, maybe besides our children? It's ourselves, right? What's in it for me? The radio station we're all tuned into is WIIFM. What's in it for me? So people love talking about themselves, about their business. So you start asking, thank you, Allie. You start asking them about themselves. And maybe that first coffee, you don't get to say too much about yourself, but you know what you're doing? You're building up a relationship. All right. Your local library. Yeah, and I think they're like $8 on Amazon or something. Or no, is it Kindle? Right? No, Amazon books. I'm sorry. I've got a copy I've had for 15 years, and darn it, I'll go to it about every 6 months because I forget about asking questions every once in a while. Everyone you meet's a potential connector. Have your business cards ready, or if you have another way you're going to, today you have business cards, but there may be another way using technology that I'm not really up to speed on. Here's some tips about talking about yourself. You don't need to bring up your past unless it's relevant. And if it's relevant, if it comes up, hey, I made some mistakes. I learned, and that's why I'm here. Network everywhere. Thank you, Tyrone. Yeah. That's a great advice. If you guys can read Tyrone's comment. Most people like a turnaround story or like the underdog. And it's amazing as I've told my story. I also go out and do some speaking on my experience and the things that I learned. And I do it at some universities and I do it at professional settings. And it's interesting that people, they're impressed that you've been able to talk about what you've done and then really how how I've learned from it and I'm making myself better. And you know what? If you meet somebody that's negative about it, that's not a person you want in your life. right? Life's too short. So focus on how you can help others, not what you do. Again, we've talked about helping others, solving problems, and an experience. There's old Chat GPT right there. I'll turn it over to Nadav. We've got about 20 minutes left just so that we know how to manage our
We'll have to go
slide.
quick, but Billy, your compliments of me are too nice, and yeah, it's a joy to have you as well. And you're bringing the heat all the time, bringing the heat. It's
Well,
fantastic. I don't want to.
I got your email that said I needed to compliment you, so that's why.
Oh, in that case,
I'm
you follow
kidding.
direction. Good job.
I do. That I do well. Yes.
No, I think it's a great slide. The one thing I would add to this for you guys at the top, the headline, make a little note. Networking is just making new friends. And Tyrone, who said, I'm great at networking, I love this. It's just this flip of like, I'm just making new professional friends, just trying to connect with some other people. And, take some of the pressure off yourself, right? Don't be too strategic about this. Say, I'm just going to make new friends. I need to know all these folks. They probably need help. I can probably help them. They can help me. Cool. Maybe not. Maybe yes. So don't put the pressure on yourself in that way. I used to think I was an introvert, believe it or not. In my 20s, I thought I was an introvert. So I understand the social anxiety very well about this. I think that it's important that you do it, though. It's definitely a riding a bike metaphor in that way. The other part that I think is really important, think about you as a connector. The most important role that you can play for those around you in this way is to connect them. And as you build your local Rolodex of people, and then you meet other new people and you say, do you know Bill? You didn't know that he does this thing that you need? And then forever, those people will love you. And all you did was connect them with your amazing folks in your network. So don't undersell the power of being a connector in your network in that way. So Ken, I'll invite you briefly, quickly, because apparently the pressure's on. Let us know what else we should add.
Hey man, I love it. For those who have business cards, and if you don't have your business cards yet, do the 10 by 10 rule, do the 10 thing online for LinkedIn, and then keep 10 business cards in your pocket in a rubber band. And when you start up in the morning, just like Tony said, mine is fashion. So when I pull up to the gas station, I see a person get out, she's dressed nice, fly. I said, maybe you like nice fashion. She said, oh, that's nice. Here's one of my cards. What you do? I sell clothing online. She said, oh yeah, I'm gonna check you out. And she get in the car. Now I don't know if she's gonna really check me out, but I've got one of my cards out the way today. Have 10 cards, wrap them up in a rubber band, and you can't go to sleep at night till you give them out. That's going to build your confidence. It's going to warm you up to being comfortable with meeting random people, and you're going to get a rate of response on it. One or two of those people are going to call them back, and you'll be surprised on how quickly it is. And also YouTube, use that as your university, especially if you're in the car a lot. Just like I saw Carl, I was washing dishes a lot. I had an earbud, man, and I was just on YouTube in those my pain point areas, and networking is one of them. And just like Nadav said, I was one of those people who just always felt introverted, and I had to practice myself out of it. And if you talk to me personally, I still think there's some parts of that in me, but I'm working on it because I use the tools to help me get better at it.
Fantastic, Ken. We're all part of this club, right? The introvert club. We've moved forward. So I'll take this one. I'll try not to be too long-winded, but let's jump in. So we can learn sales. We can get better. The one thing I'd ask you guys to write in here on the sales slide, if you can get other people to talk, if you can get your customers or anybody else to talk, you're winning. If you're talking, you're losing. Get other people to talk. If you get people to talk, they're going to love you more. If you can get them talking about themselves, even better, like Bill was talking about. So you want to get meetings, you want to get their pain points, let them talk. They're going to tell you what you need to do, but also let them talk about their grandma. Let them talk about all the things they feel. This is a beautiful thing. You want to be that sounding board, right? When people hire Tony to come clean the pool, they might need to tell Tony all about their pets. They have strong feelings about the corgis, right? And Tony's going to be like, tell me about the corgis, as he's cleaning the pool. This is a normal thing, right? So we do this in business. It's part of the thing. The more they talk to you, the more they're going to love you. So you can propose your solution and your price, right? You can quote it, you can spell it out. You need to be clear. This is another place your competitors or other businesses like you, other places in the US, are going to show you how to do it. And you might find on Instagram, Tony might find maybe there's a company in LA or in Denver, amazing pool service company. Love their branding, love what they're doing. How do they do invoicing? How do they quote? How do they handle their point of sale, right? So sometimes looking at businesses that are like the leaders, even in other markets, give us some ideas of how we should do this. So then Tony quotes the customer, and then he says, when can I schedule? Right? It's like asking for the sale. When do you want me to start showing up? I got spots as early as 48 hours from now. I'll make your pool look amazing, right? So again, here's our example. We will show up on this date. We will strip. We'll prime the house. We'll paint it with this specific paint with this color. It's going to take this amount of time, assuming clear skies. I would even probably, if I were a painter, add some stuff onto there. There's all sorts of other issues. It could take longer, but minimum 5 days. I need money right now. I need a deposit right now, 50% down. We've had other instructors in this course that have businesses like this, painting businesses, where they started out saying, I need 50% right now because I literally have nothing. I've never painted a house. I don't have a brush. I don't have any paint, right? I need the money to go buy a paintbrush. So think of your deposit. These are people putting faith in you, right? But this is how it starts, right? We got to get that deposit. Otherwise, they are not necessarily ready to jump. Don't wait to get paid later. Once you get that deposit, they have skin in the game with you. Make that money now. Don't accept, I'll put a check in the mail. You're going to get money now, right? PayPal, Stripe, Square, Cash App, Venmo, whatever it is, now, before you show up or do anything. Get your money. You are not a bank. Everybody expects to pay everybody they work with. You are no different. Get paid. And if it's 50% now, 50% when the job is done, sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes it's like Tony might want the full money ahead of time. Maybe that's his norm. Every industry has a bit of a different norm here, right? Do the job to the best that you can do. This is such a big one, guys. Circle this forever. Show up on time. In fact, on time means 10 minutes early. In my world, on time is 10 minutes early. If I'm there 5 minutes early, I could have done better. If I show up like a minute late, I just shot myself in the foot. And this goes for nearly everything. How do you impress your customers? You show up 10 minutes early every time, right? And then be professional. For Tony, he's going to show up to clean the pool. He's going to close the gate, right? He's going to make a show maybe of having wipes to wipe down the gate, He's going to leave it so pristine the people will just be like, wow, look at Tony go. He's got this. Little things that gives your behavior tells the story. And this is so important. Your word is it. If Tony's like, I'm going to be there Tuesday at 10. If Tony doesn't show up, forever, people will be like, Tony's a guy who doesn't show up, right? And it's just so hard to ever get over that with your customers again. So your word has to be gold. And if you can't show up at 10, you call, you text, there's a giant wreck on the freeway. I'm stuck in traffic. I'm coming, right? You got to communicate before. So I think those are all important points. Bill, I know there's so much I left out. Correct me. Fill me in.
There's nothing to correct. Here's what I'm going to add on the house painting. What I'd like to do is get the people agreeing to the point where you're going to be asking for the money. So on September 25th, we'll strip and prime your house. That's what we agreed upon, right? That fits your schedule. Yes. We're going to paint it the Dodger blue you like and use Benjamin Moore paint, which is a fantastic paint. Here's a chip and an illustration. Looks good, correct? Yeah, they're going to say yes. Now you got them nodding their head. This job will take 5 days, assuming clear skies. If it takes 6, it doesn't change the pricing, as we talked about, right? So for us to secure that September 25th date, we need a 50% deposit today, and then when the job is complete, 50%. We take Stripe, Square, PayPal, Zelle. Boom. Then if they have objections, you can go through those. But to secure that September 25th spot that you said you want, we needed the deposit today. And that's it, They're either going to give you the deposit or they're going to start throwing objections at you, which means you may have missed some things. And objections aren't bad. And we'll talk about that during the sales process more. But they're just, a lot of times they're just trying to get more information. Now, if you haven't qualified them or if they're not really interested and you didn't do your job there, they may be just wasting time.
Oh, you
So
brought up something so good, Bill. Qualified. Give us the definition. What does it mean to qualify your customer?
they have the need, they have the interest, and they can afford it. Or they have the problem, you can solve their solution. So if I lived, I live in a 4 unit townhouse in Chicago. We don't have a need for a pool cleaner. I don't have a need for somebody to paint my unit, my outside, because it's brick. Plus, there's 3 other units. So if somebody started pitching me on that or asking me questions, and if they did, nice haircut, by the way. Thanks, Tony. Hey, I'm 62. I'm lucky to have hair, right? But it's a lot of gray, but at least there's hair. Anyhow, so yeah, you gotta qualify. I think that's the next slide. Nice lead in. We're gonna jump to the next one, Ken, real quick, okay? We've got
Yeah.
a few minutes left here, brother. Turning leads into paying customers. So this funnel, I still go off this funnel. I did back 40 years ago when I got in the business, making those phone calls. So the initial contact. Look at Ken makes his initial contacts, the 10 business cards a day, right? He sends those out. Now, if he qualifies them, you sell clothing for women that are what, above 40? Is that, did I get
Yeah.
what's your market, Ken?
Yep.
Okay.
About 40.
So he sees a woman, okay, it's a woman. She appears to be above 40. She's 35 and she wants to buy clothes. I'm sure you're still going to sell her clothes, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so. So you qualify them. She's dressed nicely. Okay. So identify their needs. Everybody needs clothes. Some people don't need, but they want more clothes. Confirm they've seen the solution. Maybe they go to Ken's website, start seeing the things that he can offer. They contact him. Well, I'm looking at this, and this. And maybe Ken then provides what he proposes as a solution for the person. And him asking for the sale is how you pay online. Now, if we look at Tony and Carl, I just don't know enough about the hemp power farms to be able to use an example. And I'm sorry about that. But for Tony, you're gonna initial contact. Maybe you got a referral. Maybe somebody saw an ad. You qualify them. Do you have a pool? No, I just wanted to, I got a lot of extra time on my hand. And you'll come across, there are crazy people out there. They're lonely. Do you have a need? Do you clean your pool or do you have a service? No, I tell you, one of the greatest things I love doing is coming home, cracking up, open a cold beer and cleaning my pool. It gives me just a great relaxation. Your service could be free and they're not going to hire you. So I used to, when I had a house, I used to have a lawn service. I had a neighbor that absolutely loved cutting his lawn, right? And my guy that cut my lawn would ask me like every 2 months, what about your neighbor? I said, dude, he loves cutting his grass. I don't know what to tell you. So that guy the guy that did my lawn could have done his for free and he wouldn't have done it. Confirm that they've seen the solution. The solution is, if it's in the pool business, they're unhappy with the work people are doing, right? They don't care. They leave it messy. My neighbor's got a corgi. The dog is a hair machine. So if you got a pool owner with a dog with a lot of hair, there's hair getting in that filter, right? Maybe the person that's been doing it for a couple of years has gotten lazy, but the owner sees that corgi hair or whatever it is in the pool filter. The guy I'm using doesn't do the filter all the time. It gets jammed. You got the solution, right? Ask for the sale, right? It doesn't have to be clothing isn't what do you think? That's not a close. If that's your closing line, you're going to be in trouble. Thought I had it memorized. I'll get it together. No, Carl, don't apologize. I just don't know enough about your business. It's not you, brother. It's me. And always close with gratitude. Oh, explain the next steps. And you can do the next steps in your closing. So if I take a deposit, we take a deposit to secure your spot, your time for the pool. The next steps are going to deposit, or maybe you don't take a deposit. I'll be out here on this date, and always close with gratitude. I can't tell you the times I'm buying something or having a service and I don't get a thank you. And maybe I'm old. Well, I am old, but maybe I'm getting cranky in my old age. But a thank you is so simple. And it's a real killer is a handwritten thank you note. I don't know by show of hands. I can't tell you the last one I've received. But anyhow, closing rates. We're not going to spend a lot of too much time on the ratios here. If you close 100% of the people you're in front of, then your price is too low and you're going to go out of business eventually because you won't be able to meet. You're not going to be able to pay yourself, pay your pricing. Your time is worth something. And a 0% close rate means you pitch your target, you need work. Maybe you're pitching to people that don't have pools or don't have the need for your service. Track every lead to the extent that you can. Name, phone number, mail. Now, you may come across somebody that is currently happy with their pool service. Drop them a line in 6 months. There's free CRMs, client relationship management tools. And then they'll have add-ons down the way, but there's a bunch that you can use. And Carl, focusing on driving and hitting your spots. That was good. Yeah, Tony, thank you for that to Carl. But hit on that person in 6 months. Hey, we spoke 6 months ago. You were happy at the time. Just want to see if you're open to a proposal. Yeah, you know what? My guy left and I haven't been jumping around and yeah, I'm open. If he says no or she says no, it didn't cost you anything. And as Nadav has said over and over and over, you buy from people you like and trust. Just think of yourselves, right? Do you go to restaurants you like? Maybe the food is good, but you like the server there. You get a bar, you like the bartender. You go get your hair cut. You go maybe where you get your car serviced. You like the person, but some things you do just out of convenience and out of cost. But think of the services you have where you like that relationship.
Fantastic, Bill. So I know our time is quickly wrapping up. How about the next slide, please, Allie? Let's see what's coming. So we're going to try to bust through a little bit more here. Got to control the conversation. Like I said, if the customer's talking, you're winning, but it's your job to channel this, right? Try to channel that energy a little bit too. So you got to ask those open-ended questions. We talked about that today. It was great. You got to gently redirect sometime. If Tony is like, ma'am, I'm so interested in your corgis. Hearing about the corgis, so it's really interesting. I have a dog too. I like to hear it. I got to go to my next appointment, whatever it is, or you have to sometimes gently redirect people. It can feel socially awkward. It can feel really weird to do it. Something you're going to have to work on, right? And always lead them to that next step. So the power of two, instead of the binary, the yes or no, offer the equally appealing option. So instead of, would you like to move forward? Say, we got Thursday at 1 or Friday at 3. Which one do you want to do? Right? Instead of, don't worry about paying now. Are we going to pay by card or are you going to pay with your firstborn child? Right? Whatever it is, however you're going to pay, you got to pay now. And here, question like a parent, do you like vegetables or would you like peas or carrots? So sometimes the illusion of choice, you can write that right on the slide too. Because the illusion of choice, giving the illusion of choice can be very powerful. Next slide, please, Allie. How do we retain our customers? Bill, you want to take this one quickly or you want me to roll with it?
Well, one quickly. Melissa asked a question. If you're starting a service, where do you start? Well, you need to share with us what the service is, would be helpful. I'll hit this real quick. Retention strategies. This isn't discounting. This is a retention strategy, honoring or offering them if they stick. Buy 9, you get the 10th free. A coupon. Again, a coupon isn't a discount, but maybe it's an additional service. So think of in the pool cleaning, maybe there's something that's not standard that if, after your first 5 cleanings, the 6th one, you get this, okay? The old baker's dozen, which was 13 donuts as opposed to 12. It's easy to ask somebody to follow your social media. The the best way to retain customers is do good work and stick with your word, like Nadav said. 1 minute late is late, right?
Yeah.
5 minutes early, like, oh shoot, you came early.
Yeah, in my coffee roasting days, coffee businesses, we never had the punch card, never had any other sales, pricing never changed. It was, you got to come in, right? It's going to be great. And it was fantastic. Customers loved it. Never did any of that stuff. And I think it's important to know you don't have to. All right, we got literally our last minute, and this is our last slide. So we've made it. The upsell, the extras, right? Only upsell when it makes this better for the customer. Small, well-timed suggestions can make a big difference. So Tony can say, I'm so glad to hear about the corgis. Did you know I just started up the mobile veterinary service? I'm giving dog shots now, right? So Starbucks, they will ask you, what else do you want? You know, for the food, you know, they skip the tall. They're only going to talk about the bigger sizes. You know, can we add a long sleeve? Can we add a sweatshirt? So for the service add-ons, the extended warranty is solid gold, right? And then read the room, upsell when it feels right. If it doesn't, don't even go there. But look for those signs. Sometimes the customers want more. Upselling is about helping, not pushing, you know, and that's really the goal. So we've made it 7:30. Look at that. Allie, where we got the next slide? Here's your homework.
Oh.
Practice your pitch. Go ahead, Bill.
Again, practice, practice, practice. If anybody here has played sports or a musical instrument, you had to practice. Nadav hit earlier that sales is a learned experience. You practice. Meet with professional or colleagues or a quick catch up, and just prepare some generic questions for your meeting. Again, as Ken pointed out, we've got technology today. Don't try to do this. Spend your time where it's most efficient, not spending 6 hours thinking of questions when you can do that in 5 or 10 minutes. So, geez, it's already an hour and a half. It goes so quick with you guys. Allie, as always, thank you for I almost said piloting the ship. And Nadav and Ken, as always, it's a joy.
Thank you so much, Phil.
Love you.
Thank you so much, Nadav and Ken. Of course, we could not be here without you. Of course, to everyone who came tonight, we appreciate all of you being here. Our next class will be held next Tuesday, so that's February 10th. We're going to be talking about professional support that you may want to look into as your business grows. So we're looking forward to that. I will send you all a recap tomorrow. If for some reason you do not hear from me, please let me know. We always get bounced emails or our emails end up in your spam folders and things like that. So just let me know if you don't hear from me. Otherwise, we hope you all have a safe rest of your week. Please stay healthy and look out for each other. And we'll see you all next Tuesday. Thanks.
Take care.